relationships for Ukraine. And so it is not the perfect solution by means. In my opinion, the perfect solution is marriage. And in marriage, no matter if it's between a man and a man and a woman and a woman, and, you know, on and on. But realizing the history of gay rights in Eastern Europe, and gay rights in the Soviet Union, and even how they're seen in Russia now, knowing that Ukraine is taking these steps, while not perfect steps, they are steps. The step to be able to make a registered civil partnership, especially in a time of war, so that gay, lesbian, trans people who are fighting in the military can have the same rights for their partners as a married couple would, is a big step and an important step, and probably a step that they can take faster than getting marriage approved for all genders. So that's one that I've just wanted to talk about for a few days ever since I've had it, and I just haven't had the opportunity. So, you know, when you asked me what had been on my radar, I thought, you know, now might be the right time to bring this up, because it is an important thing. You wouldn't want to be in a situation where you couldn't find out what happened to your loved one, to your partner, to your life partner, if they were on the front line. Go ahead.
Yeah, plus all the other rights, right? That to me, I'm also a lesbian. You might not know. So
I understand.
The key is, but I don't talk about it much. No, the key is, it's not just knowing where your partner is. It's when they come back injured, so that you can visit them in hospital, that you can help them with their finances, because, you know, you can't get a power of attorney easily against either over a person who's not your actual domestic partner in law or married partner, whatever. Yeah, so we just ought to normalize all that stuff, because it has nothing. You know, to be honest, marriage law has nothing to do really with the relationship, so to speak, beyond the fact that the two people agree to do it. It's basically contract law, and primarily focused on the care and upkeep of any children that is in that marriage, regardless of how they get there, adopted or natural born or however, right? So making every soldier equal by making sure that their domestic partners are treated equally. And the big thing in Ukraine, Prince, is this applies to men and women. There's quite a lot of women that are in the military too in Ukraine, and their partners face the same problems that gay men face in relation to finding out what's going on with their partner, being able to visit them at the hospital. That's the most depressing thing, is when these folks come home and they're physically barred from even going to a hospital and visiting their partner at the critical times, right? Sure, you can go visit them on visiting hours after the fact and stuff, but when they first show up and they're in serious trouble and they could really, really do with the psychological support, sometimes those people get barred, and that's the thing. You just can't have it. I just can't have that.
No, I get it, and you know, having witnessed it and seen it through the AIDS epidemic here in the United States, it's a horrid thing. Dr. Nick, you had your hand up, and I'm going to ignore mockers for now because it's still 10 minutes before she's supposed to be here. Go ahead, Dr. Nick.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think that that's really, you know, I get what you're saying about the marriage thing, and I agree. But, you know, it is really important. You know, it's like these people are fighting, dying for their country, and they should have a right to have whoever they want to be with them at any point. And not only that, but if they die, they should have the right to be able to ensure that whatever it is, whatever assets they may have built together, in that partnership, are able to go to their partner if they so choose. And, so that's the thing, right? I mean, it's like very much like what Will said. This is a contract, and it just doesn't make any sense that, that we bar these kinds of things. It's just, to me, it's just beyond the pale. And I'm really glad to hear that, that they're making this step, because it is really, really, truly important. And I don't have any doubt that at some point, at least a civil partnership, if not the marriage thing, will eventually come through. And I do hope that the marriage thing does. But, we'll take what we can get, I guess, and then go from there. But I hear you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is, when I first started reading about this and hearing about this a while ago, it was, like, we recognize this. This is a band-aid for now, and we will work on it further when there's not so many, basketballs up in the air. So it's, I think they're seeing it as a step to get something instituted quicker. The sooner the better, so that there's something in place, so that they can get something better in place in the long run. Kevin, go ahead.
We had a marriage referendum a few years back, but before that, about 3 years before that, the government instituted what they called a civil partnership, which is very similar to what Ukraine is putting through now. And their logic was, well, under our constitution, marriage is a protected term, so this is something we can deliver quickly, while it's going to take our parliament circa 18 months, 2 years to go through full marriage equality, which went through, I think it was 3-1, 4-1 on a public referendum to change our constitution. So just to your point, if you're a nation of war, this is something that you can do quickly, because if Ukraine's constitution is like Ireland, marriage is a constitutional term, which means that it's a lot more difficult to change, takes a lot more effort, potentially a referendum, which is going to be difficult, impossible in a time of war. So it's a stepping stone. It's not the final solution. And just to come in a small parallel, the civil partnership was not seen as a final solution, but the stepping stone, and we got the marriage equality about 2 years later. And you can see an awful lot of similarity in the parallels there in Ukraine. That's me.
Thanks so much for coming up and sharing that, because, I think that is sort of the same idea here. I don't know what their constitution says about it, but this is something that they can do now that solves the problem that is right in front of them, and they will get to further solutions down the road, and that is their intention. Go ahead, Dr. Nick.
It is a constitutional issue. So, it is something that they're going to have to fix from that perspective. I have to look at the exact wording again, but I did that a few years ago. But from what I recall, it is constitutional. I'd have to check the wording again, but yeah.
That's great. And I'm just wondering why it's not a Friday night, because I really would love for you to just stay up late one night and join us in our genocide conversation, because I think you would appreciate and enjoy it.
I will try that. I will try that this Friday. I will do my best.
All right. Go ahead, Mockers. Good morning. How are you?
Morning. Sorry, I've got a broken voice today, I think. Morning. I went to bed early, and all sorts of things happened. And, well, you're going to have to update me, I think.
Yeah, there were...
Or shall I update you?
You can update us, but there... we sort of lived it. Well, sort of. Not really. We sort of watched it unfold. There were lots and lots of drones that attacked Russia, and airplanes went kaplooey. It was a lot of there were some emotional experiences in Russia last night. Let's put it that way. What do you think, Will?
As I said before, a very emotional reaction because the drone strike that they countered with immediately after the drone strikes that hit the Russian airfields everywhere was the largest one since May, and I'll also note that there were no drones that actually hit Moscow today, mockers, but they called the carpet in anyway. They closed all the airports in Moscow because the airfields in the regional towns not so far away from Moscow, but in St. Petersburg, I think they were very sure that the world was coming to an end, and they closed it all in. So the previous one, when they'd had attacks on the Moscow airports, they had stopped flights for 3 or 4 hours. I think they've been stopped for about 6 hours today, and all the disruptions at the other airports has also caused them problems in Moscow. So it's a big disruption day for air traffic in Moscow, and that would be causing a big effect across the board. And I'll just note that this is exactly what Zelensky was talking about the other day, that when that journalist asked him and he gave the cryptic message of attacks, are attacks going to continue in Russia? And he just said, Russia needs to know that Ukraine's not in this war alone. And I think we're seeing that. And, essentially, the thing that I forgot to twig about before is yesterday was the 29th was the National Day of Remembrance of Defenders of Ukraine. So they launched that in conjunction. I don't think Ukraine is big on timing of dates, but I know Russia is very big on numerology and time of dates. So the timing of that attack, this biggest complex drone attacks in multiple locations timed with the National Day of Remembrance in Ukraine might be speaking something as well. Markers?
Yes, I also noted it was a busy night for Ukraine's air defence.
Yes, and
I'm seeing here 28 of 28 cruise missiles taken out.
I like those numbers.
Well, that's what I thought as well. That's extremely successful.
Yes.
28 cruise missiles and 15 of 16 drones.
yeah, and here I was talking to a muted mic. So they took out a total of 43 air targets, and one got through. 43 out of 44. Not bad. And I know there were some injuries and there were some deaths from the resulting falling debris. But it was you know what? 43 out of 44 is pretty darn good, and I'll take that any day.
Yeah, so they had a very successful night of being able to take down whatever was thrown at them virtually. And, what happened to Russia? I've got a little note here that it was quite explosive. So, at least 6 oblasts and occupied Crimea. So, we're looking at the destruction, or at least the damage to at least 5 aircraft. And that was 700 kilometres from the border in Pskov. And also a hit on the military base where the 2nd GRU Special Forces Brigade is located. So that's one. Bryansk. A drone fell on a microelectronics enterprise, which I think is quite interesting. Kaluga. A drone hit an oil tank. And that's obviously been quite an emotional experience. So in the Moscow regions, Ural, and Ryazan region, air defence drones were air defence was active because drones were working. Occupied Sevastopol, an attack from the sea. And it's ended this note with welcome to February the 24th, our neighbours. And I just, well, what an interesting night. I want to go to bed early more often.
It was not boring.